I was just starved. I don't know what the hell was going on. I just kept eating everything. And I woke up in the middle of the night, excuse me, in the middle of the night. Like, you get that thing where, like, you half throw up in your mouth?
And yeah, it's called acid reflux.
Yeah. Buddy. I was like throwing up in my mouth at like 1 a.m. I didn't know whether I was going to like, for the whole next day, I didn't know whether I was going to throw up or poop my pants.
Actually, I think that's called Matador's mouth.
Yeah, it was fucking horrible. All right, well, let's get this started, gentlemen.
All right.
All right, so I am Justin Woods, and this is the Woods Cast. That's 2 times in a row. I haven't fucked that up and said the Purple Report. With me through the magic of the interwebs. Actually, we don't use Skype anymore. We just let Shay yell out of his fucking window.
I can hear him from here.
Yeah, and so is my brother, my younger brother, Shay Woods from Longmont, Colorado. How's it going, Shay?
Good. It's good.
Good. And with this, the first of what I think we didn't really decide this. I think I decided this. We'll call it our rotating Rogues Gallery of Asshats. Got to get that out of my damn mouth. We got Shay's buddy Dave. Dave, what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot over here. Just hanging out, drinking this nice body full red wine that my wife supplied that was a leftover from her dinner with her mom the other night.
There you go. Now Dave's
okay,
also.
So that's wine clearly out of your price range if she bought it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, big time.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
So
I'm rocking like fucking Boone's Farm.
Yeah.
Basically,
well,
that's my fucking price bracket.
So Dave's got some nice wine over there, and Dave, you're also in Longmont, Colorado area, the Centennial State. We still don't know why they fucking call it that. Shay's got some whiskey and I think some beer, as you said.
Breckenridge Vanilla Porter.
Oh, okay. And the keg popped at our house, so I'm drinking beer out of a fucking can like goddamn pilgrims did. It's horrible.
Whoa. Now, I also have some Two Hearted Ale over here that's straight from Kalamazoo, Michigan, and some tequila that I was left here.
Right.
So we're going to get weird with it.
Yeah. Like we like to say, like, the Woods Cast is the only podcast that should not be allowed to operate a motor vehicle after we're done recording this. And we just go where the alcohol takes us. A lot of people thought we were joking about that. Like, that we're not drinking this whole time. And I was like, listen to the end of the podcast, for fuck's sake.
I usually don't remember the last 30 minutes solid.
Yeah. There are several times where I have been hungover the next day just from recording the goddamn podcast. And like I sit down to come up with like the little blurb about like what we did talk about so I can throw it up on all the portals that Alex Jones is not allowed on anymore. And I have to like concentrate, like, okay, what the fuck did we talk about? Like, because it gets a little hazy there at the end.
Well, okay then. Well, that's fine. You guys have at it. I stopped smoking weed 5 weeks ago, so that's gonna be that's makes it less fun for me.
Dave, this is probably the soberest and well functioning your mind's been in a while.
15 years, buddy.
15 years, buddy.
What was it yesterday? Or not yesterday. The last podcast, Shay was like asking people to send him their nugs. I don't remember where we went with that.
Yeah. Just
hashtag dank nugs. Hashtag nugs for kids.
Yeah. I don't know if you've listened to it, but did you listen to the last podcast on the left? It's the Donner Party. Where
the Donner Party one was phenomenal. I thought
have you heard that one?
They just finished West Memphis second episode of that.
I haven't listened to that one yet, but like there's a part in it. There's a part in it, Shay, where fucking Zerbowski like reads a letter from his ancestor who crossed the Oregon Trail or whatever the fuck he was saying, and it was like the nug supply is running low.
The nug supply is holding steady.
We hear there are some trippy rocks up ahead, and we need to reserve the nugs. Here's whatever. I mean, it's fucking hilarious. That's one of the things we do here is spend time plugging other better podcasts. All right,
that one's far better produced, and they got time because that's their job.
Yeah.
Although, theoretically, this could be my job. Who knows? I don't have one right now, so maybe I'll go on the old LinkedIn. Woodscast done.
Yeah. The
EP.
My plan. My plan is to just say fuck it with grad school, win the lottery, and then just be the wealthiest guy doing a podcast for free.
Hey, you got to be in it to win it, and that mega's up to like 600 mil.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, you got to change the name to "I'm Rich and This Is What I Think."
Right.
That's basically called the White House, right?
Right.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
He did. Yeah. Oh god.
He's not that rich though.
Yeah. We'll get to that shit.
Oh, and we can also talk about that Saudi assassination. They're about to release. The Saudi government's about to release that it was an interrogation that went awry.
Yeah.
That's going to be coming out over the horn pretty soon.
Rogue murderers. Yeah. Rogue murderers showed up. There were 15 of them. All of them were Saudi intelligence agents, and the fuckers brought their own bone saw. Like that's not like a.
Yeah, and why would you claim that, by the way, too?
I don't know.
Anything to declare,
I got a bone saw.
Intentions in this bone saw.
That seems like one of those pictures you see on Facebook of like things people have tried to smuggle through security at airports and like bone saw, motherfucker thought to bring a bone saw.
Dude, the Cleveland airport's got the best one. It's got like grenades and shit in it. It's the fucking best. Come to Cleveland. It's amazing.
It's Cleveland. That's why they have grenades.
Don't go to Cleveland.
All right, so we are recording this, what's today, the 15th, Monday night, October 15th. The numbers for the day are that it's the 634th day of the Trump administration. Midterms are in 23 days. It's been 126 days since Donald Trump took away all the nukes from North Korea. So that worked out swimmingly.
We're safe.
Yeah, totally safe. The polling is kind of all over the place right now. Like, I pay attention to two polls because they do this really consistently. Trump's at 44% in the Gallup poll, but he goes between the highest he's ever been is 45 and the lowest he's ever been is 35. He's never got out of that range. 538 has him at 42.1% approval rating, so pretty close. House forecast and the Senate forecast. House forecast is 5 and 6 chance that the Democrats take the Senate. Which is 82.1% for those of you that don't have your calculator handy, and the Senate forecast is 1 in 5, so it's like a 19.5% chance. Which I look at those. There's some of those races, like if certain things, like Shay and I, you and I talked about this in the last podcast. Donald Trump wasn't supposed to win the election, and it was only through a series of very unlikely dominoes did he win the proper states to win the Electoral College. I can totally see ways that the Democrats can take the Senate. Am I putting money on it? Fuck no. But,
fuck no.
Yeah, fuck no. So random stuff before we get into the news. Shay did not get to see Venom yet. Dave, have you seen Venom yet?
Oh yeah, I saw it. I loved it. It was the best movie I ever saw. No, I fucking didn't see it. I don't go out and I don't go see movies unless like it's got Ryan Gosling in it.
Yeah. Dave's mainly
Did
into
you guys
like.
see La La Land? It was phenomenal.
Well, that and like 50 Shades of Grey. It's on loop at his house.
Well, I mean, that's just for the wife.
I don't have enough beer in this room to deal with that conversation, but
Are you getting Matador's Bush right now?
No, I'm good. I'm solid. That was a while ago.
Okay, good.
So the only thing that, like, Shay, go see it. It's a fun movie. Like we talked about before, it's very poorly written. They fucking plot hole spackle in a reason to have a big fight at the end. It's not a big deal. I'm just really, I'm more entertained than I should be that it did stomp the Star is Born movie, which was supposed to be the runaway hit and Oscar nod forever. Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga.
But I hear it's good.
Well, I'm sure it's good, but Lady Gaga just annoys me for more than she impresses me with her music. So,
well, I mean, I'm not gonna go see it, but I hear it's good. It's like La La Land, which everybody should go see. It's the best movie that they ever made in the last 3 years. But
is this gonna be a thing?
I'm not gonna go see it, but I know it's good. It's the best movie that they made in the last 3 years.
Is this a thing we're gonna compare everything to La La Land?
Just for like the next 20 minutes, and then I'll move on to another phenomenal movie. Like what was that one that Disney flopped on before they bought Star Wars? Shit.
John Carter of Mars?
John Carter? Oh, I was just thinking about that today. Because John Carter was a huge, like, it was, that was a huge hit in the pocketbook. Because it was like $500 million or something just stupid.
They made like $12.
It was $250 million to make. If you add on the marketing, add on another $120 million on top of that. U.S. domestic box office, I think it made like $80 million, which was a lot, but that's the full run. And then internationally, I think it made another $100 million. They still lost like $140 million on it. And then I read somewhere that in order for them to actually clear and make a full profit on that movie needed to clear $700 million because it was supposed to be the first of a trilogy. Now, I don't know if you guys saw the trailer for the next John Carter that's coming out, but it is non-existent.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Well, the whole premise of the movie was like a Civil War general or soldier is teleported to Mars where they have a different civilization, and because of the difference in gravity, he can just, he bitch man slap everybody and jump really high. Like,
really?
Yeah. I mean, I have made up better.
Wasn't that based on something like super old? Wasn't that based
on
like one of the original sci-fi fucking movies? And like, I mean, that created the fucking trope. From what I understand.
Yeah, they pulled that out of the fucking the archives and were like, man, nobody knows about this, and there's a fucking reason for that because it was stupid and you should have stopped making that movie. But to a bigger point, like, I'm always entertained by people like that'll just like rake a movie over the coals. Like, the point of every movie, in my opinion, is to entertain an audience, whatever, and make your money back, right? Like, every movie can't win the Oscars, so when you make a John Wick, like, you're like, all right, we want to make a badass action movie. Keanu Reeves is down. He's going to do a lot of weapons training. We can show a video of that on YouTube and fucking hype everybody up. And
he's amazing.
And they made a great movie. Now, they're like way shittier movies that make a lot of money. And they're still shitty movies, but they're fun. Like, I just worked my way through, I don't know if you knew this, but, is it, oh shit, I blanked. It's not Hulu. Amazon Prime Video, whatever that is.
Yep.
We've got an unrated version of RoboCop they're streaming now, which is phenomenal. That movie is so just bad, but it's so fun to watch. Like,
you're talking about like the original.
Yeah, RoboCop. Like,
it's fucking amazing, dude.
Right.
Yeah.
And that movie made a bunch of money. Like, a movie doesn't have to be good. Like, doesn't have to win an Oscar. Doesn't have to be critically acclaimed. Doesn't have to be an instant classic. Like, as far as the companies are concerned, just make your fucking money back plus several tens of millions of dollars, and we'll call it a win.
So you're basically saying it doesn't have to be a La La Land then, in order for it to be a successful movie.
Right. No, it doesn't have to have, what's his name's dreamy eyes singing.
Ryan Gosling. God damn, dude.
He is dreamy though. Like, He's got Gosling. He doesn't want to admit his deep feelings for Ryan Gosling.
Yeah. But there was
no.
Apparently...
I'm outwardly admitting my deep feelings for Ryan Gosling right now. He's dreamy. And did you ever see, oh God, what was that? He actually made a really good movie that, like, really apparently flopped. I think it's called Only God Forgives or some shit like that. It takes place in Thailand. It's very good. It's
Never
super
saw that.
dark.
He was amazing in Blade Runner. Was it 2053? Am I getting that wrong?
2049.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a movie that I need to see because I haven't seen it in theaters, and that was a great one.
Didn't I see that with you?
I don't think so, because I don't know. I know the first time I saw it, I was not sober. I was on psychedelics.
Well, but that's like every time I go and see a movie with you.
Listen, that's neither here nor there. I've got some psychedelic brain stuff going on, and I'm thinking this movie's amazing, and then I go see it again, more or less sober, and it was just as good.
That was solid.
That was one of those ones I just had I had almost zero expectations for, and then it came out of left field. Was like, bam! This is how you redo a series and bring it back to the limelight.
And we mentioned Drive. I mean, good lord.
I've never seen Drive.
Drive's good. Drive's good.
You haven't seen Drive? I thought Drive was amazing.
One of the I think the hidden gems in what did we say it was 2029? I can't get that in
2049.
2049. Thank you. Well, that Stephen King movie and book 1162 something. I can't get those numbers right either. I think it's my dyslexia.
Wasn't that a series? Wasn't that a fucking series?
It was a Hulu series based off the book. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see that, and I don't read, but I listen to books on tape.
It's a solid book and it's a solid series.
So yeah.
But I just can't keep like those titles in my head for some fucking reason. But I'm sorry. But one of the gems in the Blade Runner sequel was Dave Bautista. Like when they pulled him in to do Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was like, oh man, like you're gonna just pull some wrestler because he's got the right build. You're gonna paint him green or off purple or whatever the fuck color you want to call it, and you're just gonna have him beat somebody's ass. Like I was really like, whatever, I'm not gonna like write him hateful letters or anything. But then like he was good in Guardians of the Galaxy. And I learned after the fact that he had apparently done a bunch of little roles and a bunch of other stuff before Guardians of the Galaxy. And like when he was in the Blade Runner movie, I was like, holy fucking shit! Like if I ever see him in life, I'm gonna walk up and apologize. Like I talked mad shit about you. You didn't hear any of it, but like you killed it in that movie. That was awesome.
And now what? James Gunn is doing Suicide Squad.
Suicide
He's
Squad,
supposed to be writing and directing the sequel.
See,
Wait,
that's
they're actually
gave him the
making a
boot?
sequel on that?
Yeah. And the guy that did Guardians, since he got the boot from Disney, he's doing that now.
No, can we revisit an earlier topic that we were talking about how movies are really primarily just there to either be phenomenal movies or to make money? Now, did Suicide Squad make any money?
Yeah,
I'm sure it did. Yeah,
it made a bunch of money. Well, and I was
It
always
made its money back, or did it cut even? Because I know
No,
critically, it sucked a bag of shit, and I saw it in theaters and wanted to suck a bag of shit so I could get Matador mush.
well.
God
I
damn.
think Dave and a lot of people, like, I don't know what everybody was expecting. Like, it was a group of villains that were going to go fight some absolutely stupid and insane monster, and during their hero's journey, they're going to realize they're not really the villains. Like, what? Fuck ever. You know? Like, everybody's like, well, it didn't go the way I thought. Like, it went exactly how it was going to go, and it made money, and that's the only thing.
See,
It had a budget.
I had no expectations because I don't pay attention to any of that comic book nonsense because I wasn't I don't know, I was allowed to watch The Simpsons, but I couldn't read as a child, so I just I didn't read anything except for Mad Magazine. That's about it.
To answer your question, the budget for Suicide Squad was $174 million. The take home was $746.8 million.
What was the domestic gross?
I mean, I think that is the, let's see.
It doesn't matter if the
I mean,
money
it doesn't
coming into the
matter.
studio.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
So the
It doesn't
total
matter.
was 786 and the domestic was 325 million.
Yeah.
So they still made their money back even with just the domestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty good.
But it's and like you said, David, like it if you go in with no expectations and you're like, all right, whatever. Like that's kind of how I went in with Venom. Like I went in with Venom, I was like, this is probably gonna suck a bunch of ass because I'm a huge fan of the Venom comics, and it was just a fun movie. So and they're making a bunch of money, which is great. The whole Tim Gunn thing, like that ties into a lot of shit for me because
James,
did I say
James
Tim? Who
Gunn,
the hell's
you said
Tim Gunn?
Tim Gunn.
Oh,
Wait, Tim Gunn's one of those I don't know what he is, but
He's a fashion guy.
He's a fashion
thank you.
guy.
Thank
That's
you.
right.
Thank you. No, James Gunn was taken down, for those of you who have been in a cave for the last, fucking 8 months or something like that. James Gunn was taken down, fired from Disney because he wrote a bunch of tweets back in the day, like 8 years ago, that he thought were funny. And it was all this, like, sarcastic, like, rape jokes and incest jokes that were just not funny. They just, let's just be very clear. They weren't funny.
like they weren't funny, like, at all, like, in any way, like...
It was stuff like...
I understand being insensitive and all that, but I mean,
it was stuff like he tweeted out like the best part about a rape is when it's over.
Oh yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, like it's I don't know where the comedy was he was going.
I mean,
for that.
there's no comedy in there. I mean, like,
Right.
ugh. I mean, granted, you shouldn't joke about that, shit anyways. But if
Exactly.
you're going to at least like have a better punchline, I guess. Ugh. Woof.
Well, like he said he was just trying to, he was. What did he say? He said something stupid like he was trying to explore his darker sense of humor or some bullshit like that. And Disney
Explore
wasn't
by yourself.
Yeah, Disney wasn't buying it. And so they canned his ass. But what the whole thing about that, the whole part about that really bothers me is that it wasn't that Disney found him. It's that one of Alex Jones's minions, Mike Cernovich, who has made a career doing this shit, is the one that found it. And the whole Mike Cernovich's whole thing is to troll your past emails, past tweets, anything that's in the past that nobody's really looking at. He'll troll them for something that he could pull and make out of context sound like you're either like pro. His big thing is that all of Hollywood is pro pedophilia. So if he can come up with anything, that he can somehow twist into a pro pedophilia, pro rape kind of joke that you told back in 97, he'll blast it out on the internet now and say like, hey, look, Hollywood of course supports pedophilia and all this bullshit. You should fire so and so. He did it with Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar tweeted a sarcastic joke that he's like, about Roman Polanski. He was like, well, if my daughter is raped, I hope they have a better, taste in film than Roman Polanski or something like that.
Well,
And,
but I mean, whatever.
but it was
we don't
part of
need
a
to talk about Roman Polanski.
right, but it was part of a larger tweet, and Mike Cernovich pulled that part out and showed it to MSNBC, and they fired Sam Cedar for like a week and a half. Once they found out the context of the joke and the tweet stream he was going with, they were like, no, he totally wasn't, espousing pedophilia. He was making fun of Roman Polanski, and so they rehired him.
I heard a pedophile today described as not child safe individual, and I thought that was an interesting way to describe a pedophile.
The person that used that phrase,
not child safe individual. I can't have children in my house. I got sharp edges everywhere. There's like guns and stuff, and like I don't know. There's like knives. Like my dogs juggle. Not child safe individual. I mean, come on, man. Don't you think that's sounds like downplaying it a little bit?
That sounds like a guy who has some shit in his past he doesn't want you to know about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if somebody walks into my house and it's like, I hear your neighbor is a not child safe individual. I'm like, get the fuck out. Just get the fuck out. Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that there's like a lack of baby proofing in your home.
No.
Or that there's maybe some aluminum wiring in your housing, that you haven't taken care of or anything like that, because that's not child safe either.
You just have asbestos pillows or some shit, like whatever.
I mean, there's asbestos and aluminum wiring in my house, and I mean, I don't let kids in here.
As long as it's not exposed or golden.
I'm not gonna say that it's not.
Yeah. The only
been here.
Yeah. The only problem, the whole James Gunn thing doing Suicide Squad, I wish him the best. I have no opinion on his career. He never works again. I don't give a shit. I really don't. But it's just the fact that Mike Cernovich got another scalp that just pissed me off to no end.
I don't know, man. It bums me out because it's. I mean, this is a very biased way to look at it, but goddamn, dude, what's gonna happen with Guardians 3? Who's gonna do that?
Yeah,
that's the sad part. That's really what I'm worried about.
Well, you and Jay both. Remember, Jay is way into those, and whenever this James Gunn thing came out, I mean, we talked about it on the podcast in the Purple Report. He was really worried, like you were, what the fuck's gonna happen with Guardians 3? I like Guardians 1 and 2, and if they don't make a Guardians 3, I won't lose any sleep over it. But
well, yeah, but those are probably my favorite movies. So they're going to continue making them. There's no way they're not going to make another one.
They're super fun, and I think the reason they're super fun is because they take the comic book universe, whatever it is, and they just don't treat it as seriously as everybody's trying to.
Yeah, no, they're you could remove the Marvel logo and you'd never know they were related, really. At least not until the most recent stuff.
Right, and Wizard and the Bruiser. Wizard and the Bruiser did a thing on the Joker. I don't know if you've heard that episode.
Yep.
Another great podcast for everybody out there listening. Wizard and the Bruiser.
Wow, we're just really plugging Cave Comedy Radio.
Fuck yeah, we are.
Aren't we?
Basically. But when they did the Joker episode, they said something. I think it was Jake that said something I thought was really, really poignant. And he was like, with a character like the Joker, because everybody was super amazed by Heath Ledger's Joker, and half people were super butthurt by the Suicide Squad Joker, and what's that guy's name?
Well, it's because he was terrible.
It's Jared Leto.
Fuck
right.
him and his Joker.
Right.
Whoa. Now, Jared Leto's Joker was terrible, but Jared Leto's been in some great films.
That's true.
Yeah.
Clearly, we're not going to talk about those films right now.
Right, but my opinion is with a character as fluid. I mean, in the comics, the Joker himself can't remember his own origin story. So with a character that fluid, why does everybody have such a very hard and fast, frame to put this in? And I thought Jared Leto's Joker was no way as good as Heath Ledger's, but it was interesting. It was well, that's one way to do it. But Jake said something that was really funny. I thought was great. He was like, you can either treat these characters with the reverence that people are trying to, because he was talking about what's his name? Joaquin Phoenix is going to do the standalone Joker movie. And
I've seen the shots of that, just the shots from the set and all that. I mean, it looks cool, but Jared Leto looks fucking cool as shit too.
Right too.
And I mean, and objectively, there are two different movies, and they had different styles to them as well. Right. But I mean, the whole Christopher Nolan Batman movies, those were. I mean, you guys can disagree with me. I thought those were phenomenal. I also
they're great.
Really love Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, Jake's point was not that like any of them have fucked up the Joker, but his point was like you can either treat these characters with this reverence that everybody seems to treat it with, but if you do that, you can't have 8 different actors do it in 8 different years. Like, if they're so reverent, then hold off on this new Joker movie for a couple years and like give everybody some time to cool off and then do a new Joker. But if you do one twice a year, then you can't bitch that everybody's like, you know, analyzing each fucking Joker, comparing them to each other. Like, I was like, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I from the very first shots of Heath Ledger, or not Heath Ledger, excuse me, Jared Leto's the Joker. I was.
Are you talking about the new Joaquin Phoenix's one, or
no? Shay's
like,
talking about.
I don't think his ever looked any good.
The
so,
Jared
like,
Leto
I've just
from
written
Suicide
that one
Squad shit. Or
yeah,
what?
that one was dumb.
Yeah.
Like it was Hot Topic Joker. It was real dumb. You know, that Joker.
I've never heard it put
Joker
that way.
would
That's
drive
good.
a car that has a bumper sticker that says "What's the speed of dark?" and think it was super clever. Like I couldn't stand it. But I know Joaquin Phoenix. I like him more in general. And I don't know. It's not like I'm not going to see it. So
Yeah.
I mean, have you seen like I'm not really here, and like, you know, when he basically fucking went off and how long ago was that when he did that like 1.5 year long stunt where he just like basically fucking pretended to be a rapper and like filmed a fucking documentary about it?
Right. Just for shits and giggles.
I mean, it got terrible reviews, but I thought it was amazing. I mean, that's performance art, but you know,
you can argue whether it was a good, you know, documentary or not, but like that's fucking dedication.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying that it was a phenomenal movie or anything like that. That was a phenomenal documentary, but what he did was pure fucking performance art, and you gotta respect the man for that shit because he did it and like, you know, what his motivations were behind it. I mean, did he do it because he thought it was funny? Probably a little bit. Did he do it because he thought it might like turn into something fucking really cool? Probably mostly that, and it didn't.
Did he do it because he was on mescaline?
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, he was originally he was born into Children of God, the fucking cult.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
And then River Phoenix. Oh yeah, Children of God. They were raised in that shit.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah, he's a weird dude. That's part of why.
Well, now you can't unknow that.
Yeah, no, you can't. Yeah. No, I think. Well, you know, we haven't seen anything of that movie. I kind of have avoided the set photos, and like there's apparently some like footage from him like doing something on the set or some leaked video. But the teaser trailer they put out where it's just Joaquin Phoenix and then they like overlay images of the Joker as the like, some music
Can
plays.
we pause real quick? You guys are both from West Virginia, and you are even closer to West Virginia. It's Joaquin, not Joaquin. Come on, buddy.
What I say?
On this.
He's got a fucking
I
weird
said
name.
Joaquin, thank you.
Yeah,
I know you did, but you're closer to more Spanish-speaking individuals. Although you are close to Chicago, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't go to all the Spanish-speaking places in Chicago to like verify all this shit, but it's Joaquin, homie.
What did I say? I mean, I don't really give a shit because he's got a weird name and he, you know, and spent a 1.5 years trying to be a rapper. So you know, I can fuck up his name and he can fucking sue me if he wants to.
That's fine. Very good.
Either way, the trailer with Mr. Phoenix standing there with the you know, they overlay the Joker makeup on him and it like flashes, you know, and then they play some strange music and he smiles at the end of it. Like that was a better trailer than fucking half the fucking Marvel trailers I've ever seen. I was like, there you go, you know. But we'll see.
Now I gotta ask you guys this out of sheer ignorance. Now is that, I mean, now I understand that is DC, but is that like are they trying to film this and like integrate it into the same world as like fucking Wonder Woman and fucking all that bullshit?
I have no clue.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just a weird standalone.
It's a standalone thing.
Yeah, it's some weird side thing.
Well,
I'm not.
But what if
sure.
what if it makes a bunch of money? You think they might try to integrate it in that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, they'll shoehorn that shit right in there. They're like, hey, you guys remember when the Joker was in the Justice League? Put him in there.
Now, what's the rating of this new film that they're shooting?
It's not going to be more than PG-13.
It's not going to be more than PG-13.
No.
I mean, it's not fucking Deadpool, you know, but like, you know, whatever.
No,
and
yeah.
I watched Deadpool 2 for the first time since it was in... that is such a great fucking movie.
I really enjoyed it myself.
Oh goddamn! Deadpool 1 and 2 are both. They have no business being as good as they are considering the character.
When I learned the history of how they got that shit made, it took 13 years for Ryan Reynolds to get it made after he did like a couple screen tests and shit, and they like signed on 3 weeks later after fan response. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
God damn, I fucking read a bunch of really nerdy shit that I don't usually read this week. God damn.
And that's and you have to respect Ryan Reynolds and these people doing that shit. It's kind of like with the Matrix. You know, they were given a certain budget and they blew a lot of it to like show the how they were going to do the bullet time stuff to the studios. Yeah. And then they got the money for the first 3. But no, like my wife Rachel, like she's not into superhero movies.
I didn't know you were married. Mazel tov.
Yeah, it's been a while.
For a while. How long have you guys been married?
Like 13 years now.
13? Oh, this is 15, 13. I would have
You got me beat by like almost, actually a little bit more than double.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Well, I'm sorry. Mazel tov.
Yeah. But, yeah, like she's not into like the superhero movies. I think I got her to watch Man of Steel, and I don't think she watched the first
I hated that.
It was all right.
But I've never liked Superman.
Yeah, you really don't like Superman.
I really don't like Superman. And like, I mean, and people are like, oh, well, you don't like Superman, and like people that like know like a bunch of Superman bullshit. They know I'm from Cleveland. They're like, oh, well, you know the creators from them. I'm like, yeah, I fucking know he's from there. Well, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to, like, I collect Superman comics because he's a staple of he's a staple. He's like one of the cornerstones of the comic book industry.
And now I can agree with that for sure. But I think like as a superhero himself, I mean,
as a character, as a character, he's very one-dimensional, and there's a lot of problems with that. But
can I ask you guys this about Superman? Can I just propose a hypothetical Superman question right now, just to be?
Yes. Does it have to do with La La Land?
I mean, there's no script here. So, do you think that Superman could save a town that had a handgun factory in it that was about to get hit by a tornado? And how would he do it?
Well, he would melt all the guns together with his heat vision.
Yeah. Well, see now
but if the guns were already firing, well, I mean, but then it begs the question: why would you have a bunch of loaded handguns in a handgun factory? But you know,
it's a poorly run.
Well, you got to test them.
This is a handgun factory run under the Trump administration, so it's been deregulated. They can do whatever they want.
And I guess we're also assuming that all the handguns are out on like picnic tables outside, so they can be picked up. And
they're drying. The paint dries in the sun outside all day.
It's bring your daughter to work day.
Yeah. The correct answer is fly around the tornado in the opposite direction of the tornado to break it down.
Reverse the time.
No, you just if
just
the tornado's going
tornado.
counterclockwise, he goes clockwise, or even just runs around the base.
Like
the Flash does. The tornado just goes away. It's comic book science.
Yeah, come on,
nerd. It's already hit the handgun factory.
Exactly. So you just stop it from spinning, and the handgun they drop down. He could also just use his breath to blow the handguns out of space.
Yeah.
I think you're more worried about the handguns than you are about the bullets being discharged from the handguns.
Well, we gotta attack the source of this problem.
The tornado.
Yeah.
Tornado. Fair enough.
Or the guns that are firing bullets. But anyway, we're way the fuck off topic.
Sorry.
We don't have a topic, so don't apologize.
Well, I'll always remember where I was when Superman saved us from the time that tornado hit that handgun factory in Tallahassee.
Yeah. All right, so the news is shit. The thing that just came out like today that I think is fucking hilarious, and I'm actually not really a big fan of, is that Senator Elizabeth Warren took a DNA test to show that she does have some Indian ancestry.
God, who gives a shit?
Well, hold on. Now, I sort of care about this because of the
donation
proclamation, the donation thing, and there's some speculation that that's legally binding. It's not legally binding, and people are going to tell you that it is, but it's not legally binding. Don't listen to that left-wing media. They're going to tell you it is. But continue with the news.
This whole thing makes the Democrats look like jackasses.
It really does. It makes her look like a jackass, and she's better than this.
Well, and the funny thing is that it's giving in. I guess giving in might be the wrong word, but it's placating Donald Trump for a completely racist attack on Elizabeth Warren. she said, in a bunch of interviews, and you could go back and read them, that like her parents had always said that several generations back she had, a great grandmother or whatever that was Native American, and that they were always proud of that they had some Native American ancestry in their background.
Can I pause there? I believe the test showed that it was at least 6 generations back.
Right,
yeah. That's just what I read.
Right, 6 to 10. 6 to 10 is what the test said. And so there is, now I would have to do a deep dive in this, and I haven't done a deep dive, but the controversy comes from apparently when she was a law professor at, I think, Penn State, she changed her it's reported. I don't know who changed it. There's conflicting stories on who changed her nationality in the records. Penn State says she did. She said she didn't change it. While she was a law professor at Harvard, I know Harvard advertised her as a Native American, law professor because they were trying to drum up diversity.
I do know that's true. I don't know. She was at Penn State before that.
I want to say that. Maybe that's where she was in law school.
I don't know.
Right. This is such on my periphery. I don't even really give a shit to.
But the whole story, we don't need to get
right. But the whole story is that the Republicans say that she said she was a Native American to get into law school and get a bunch of jobs. Those facts don't hold up. If anything, she just changed it to represent her Native American heritage. Donald Trump always said that she was lying and offered $1 million to her charity of choice if she could prove that she had Native American ancestry. So everybody just...
and let's not forget, called her Pocahontas at every opportunity that he had.
Yeah, every time that her name came up or anytime he had a pause in his rallies, which we'll talk about here in a couple minutes, he would go, "Oh, Pocahontas." Now... I don't give a shit what you think about Senator Warren. Calling a person that you, first of all, don't believe that they have Native American ancestry is fucking racist. If they have Native American ancestry, it's still fucking racist. Like, it's a racial slur no matter what. And
Agreed.
He would say it at rallies and people would cheer. Racists would cheer, I guess. And so that was the thing, and people were challenging her to get a DNA test, and I always thought, like, this is the stupidest thing in the world. Like, why would you do this? Like, if Donald Trump had made the same challenge to me, I'd be like, all right, I'll get a DNA test if you get a DNA test for Barron Trump. Like, make sure he's your kid or something absolutely fucking ridiculous, right?
Well, let's not bring Barron into this.
He's fine. I got no beef about Barron. Like, there's apparently he's fathered a bunch of kids around fucking New York back in the day.
That's a great sitcom name. What's the beef about Barron?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd watch that.
I think Shay's right. Like, she did the DNA test. It shows that she had a Native American ancestor 6 to 10 generations back. So she proved herself right, to an extent. Like, no, it's not like 25%. It's like 1% or 0.001%, depending on what generation it is.
Well, I don't have my calculator because if I do,
it's something stupid small. It's something stupid small, but it makes her look like a jackass. I agree with Shay. I don't like this at all.
It makes her look like a jackass, and it makes him look like a jackass. But really, in the end, it really makes the Democrats look like a jackass, and it makes the left look like a bunch of fucking idiots. Because she should have just kept her fucking mouth shut and not said anything about this.
How long ago was this shit? This
shit was like so long ago.
Like, are you fucking... Yeah, the midterms are like less than 3 weeks away, and that's what you're going to... Yeah.
Dude, since before he was the nominee, he was pulling this shit talking about fucking Warren, man. And, like, I personally, I fucking love Elizabeth... oh, goddamn, that's the booze, guys. I like this podcast already. Elizabeth Warren, I like her. I would love to have I would love to vote for her, not as a president at this point, but if I would re-elect her, if I was in her fucking district, for fucking sure. But she's too old to fucking elect for president. There's no good candidates anymore. That Kennedy kid's too young.
We'll get there. Wait till after the midterms.
Sorry. I'll let you.
After the midterm.
Yeah, like no. I'm not saying that like we can't talk about who the next Democratic candidate for president should be in 2020 because
I know who's gonna run.
Everybody's gonna fucking run apparently. Like everybody, and like Shay and I should fucking
We
run.
cannot
Like,
have 16 fucking people run on the left like that had to happen on the right, because the left is like, they won't fucking conglomerate around one fucking person. In the end, they'll fucking splinter and get all fucking weird about it. Now, Eric Holder seems like he's going to be fucking the top contender. I don't fucking like Eric Holder. And Cory Booker,
Eric Holder's
talking about this shit too?
Eric Holder's
he's already talked about it, man.
Cory Booker, about it. A lot of people talk about it, and you know.
Yeah.
A lot of people
Eric Holder's got mark my words right now. Mark my words right now. Eric Holder's fucking taking this shit seriously.
Well, see, here's the way I look at it. Whether we have a Democratic field of 8 to 14 people like we did the last time there was an open election for the presidency, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't worry me. I'll worry about that later. Like Shay said, like, let's get through the midterms and we'll figure that fucking shit out. Everybody, Dave's doing a shot of tequila. That's
number 3.
Yeah, so we're having fun. But like the way I look at this is like, let's just say tomorrow. Let's just say it's January of 2020.
We're talking damage control here?
No, I'm just talking, like, just hypothetical. If it's January of 2020 and it's Elizabeth Warren and Donald Trump, who are you voting for?
Oh, I mean,
of Elizabeth course Warren, hands down.
Right, yeah, like, see, that's the thing, like, everybody has these, like, well, I don't want her to run for president, I like this person better, but, like, at the end of the fucking day, like, Shay and I and Jay on the last podcast where we switched over to the Woodcast, we were talking about, like, how crazy it is that Donald Trump is president, and, like, people have thrown out that, like, fucking Kanye West wants to run in 2024, and, like, that's my worst hell. Like, I was in the shower one day, like, just random shower thought. I was like, what if Kanye West runs and wins the DNC nomination? He won't now because he's gone full MAGA.
He won't run as a Democrat.
Right. But, like, before he said he would run as a Democrat. And, like, who would like, my worst case scenario is you got a choice between Kanye West for the Democratic nomination.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
No, fuck. Rick Santorum on the Republican side. Like, I might drink myself to death trying to decide what to do because I don't think I could go third party because I've made fun of those people for too many years, and that's
at that point. Here's the thing. I don't think. Okay, here's the thing. I've said a lot about. I don't think things could degrade that far before I've made those statements. I assured my best friend on the evening of the election. I'm like, don't worry about this. The polls. Look at the polls. It's fine. I'll go on real right now with you, and we'll fucking take a look at this. Don't worry about it. Oh, yeah, she didn't go to Wisconsin. Whatever, it didn't fucking matter that she didn't go to Wisconsin. Well, clearly it fucking did. The Democratic base is fired up. People talk about the blue wave. I don't want to talk about the blue wave because I think that's far too overzealous at this point for the Democrats. Hey, Democrats, still lick your fucking wounds, guys. The Republicans... they're talking about how the Kavanaugh hearings have now fired up their base. I don't think so. I think that's just something they tell themselves to feel good. But I'll tell you what, historically what happens always in a non-presidential election, always when it comes to like House and Senate and all that shit, is old people vote, young people do not. Now you've got all these young people out there that are talking about how they're fired up and they're going to go out there and vote. Now, and I'll say young people, we'll go ages... 18 to, my age. We'll go 33. 18 to 33. Oh, yeah, I'm definitely going to go out there and vote. Okay, sure. Now, out of all these people that are saying, definitely going to go out there and vote, that's probably already, I don't know, I give that like 40%. 40% of people in my age group. Now, out of those people who's actually going to vote, I don't know. Far less than that. But I think we'll have a better turnout. What was it the last time? The last time in my age group that I'm in right now, I think that the actual turnout was somewhere around I think like 18% for like 18 to fucking 25s, and then beyond that, I don't have the numbers in front of me. But it's low.
Always the problem.
I think they'll turn out in higher numbers, but I mean, shit, man. How bad does shit have to get before fucking people galvanize and get together on the fucking left and actually start doing something? I guess we're about to find out.
Well,
this is the first true test. This is the first like really fucking important election for the left Like, I mean, we're talking like beyond Clinton years. Like, this is a fucking mess compared to all that shit. This is a mess compared to Bush years. I mean, Reagan years, people didn't give a shit. Like, this is a fucking mess. Like, do you really think that the youth vote's going to turn out this time? That's going to have a big impact. I mean, people are like, oh, well they're going to vote like 26% over fucking the normal, like, 19 or whatever the fuck it is. That's still a lot of people. And you got to target them in the right places. Look at like Texas. Look at the race with fucking Beto. Do I think Beto's going to win? No, I don't think Beto's going to win. Anyways, I'm sorry. That's a little bit of a rant.
Yeah,
I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be as close as I don't trust Texas ever. Don't trust Texas, guys.
No, there's a lot of wisdom in saying not to trust Texas, because my theory about Texas has always been fuck Texas. Like Texas likes to talk about. Yeah, Texas likes to talk about how individual they are and how self-reliant they are and how they give more to the government than they ever want back. And then the second, and they want to secede. I love the people that want to have Texas secede from the Union. And I say, go for it. Fuck it. And then the second they secede, we invade them for their oil. Fuck them.
Well, it wouldn't be as bad as California, because California, like, independently is like the fucking, 6th or 7th largest economy in the world.
It's like 4th or 5th now.
Really?
Yeah, it's gone up there. No, well, the current governor has turned it was like several $1 billion deficit into a several $1 billion budget surplus. Like they're kicking ass in California right now. But no, you're right. Like the problem with the youth vote in America is that it always says it's going to vote and never turns out. And the counterpoint there is that the older, whiter, more conservative vote always turns out.
Always.
Yeah, that's why midterm elections are always harder on Democrats, especially if there's not it's not a presidential election, because
those people have to die eventually.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's the funny thing, Shay. Shay was going right where I was going to go, is in the fact that they're fucking dying off. Like, not that we want everybody's grandmas and grandpas to just fucking get rubbed out, but like they're not going to live forever, and the Republican Party for the last 6 or 8 years has really doubled down, and Donald Trump has even like exacerbated this problem. Like the Republican Party is doubling down on a demographic that's literally fucking dying off. Like white straight males.
Stock the courts.
Yeah,
He was a forward thinker because he knew this was going to happen. He knew demographic change was coming. So fuck it. Let's secure the courts.
Yeah, there's two schools of thought here. There's a school of thought that thinks that the fact that white straight Americans are going to become the minority in the next 10 to 15 years or whatever the social curve is, and they think that's the most horrible thing that could ever happen. And then there's people that think that like, hey, okay, that's fine. Like I personally would not give a shit if white Americans were 49% of the population, and then the rest of the minorities, together they wouldn't be a minority, but sepaately they made up
if the majority was non-white, it would not bother me. I'll tell you
at
that.
All right.
And Justin, it sounds like you're making the same point.
Right, exactly. But it scares the shit out of people like Mitch McConnell and the majority of the Republican base. Like just that thought that they're
America's a country of immigrants. We came here, we killed the indigenous people, and then we immigrated a bunch of fucking people.
Mostly by accident. We just gave him some pox. We gave him some pox blankets. That was kind of our bad, but.
Well, I mean,
they're still dead.
I mean, I didn't do it. I mean, if my ancestors did it, then I feel bad about it. But I'm pretty sure my ancestors were fucking serfs in Eastern Europe, or like sitting, out there doing some other bullshit. It's not an excuse, but. Regardless, I'm not going to apologize for anything that happened in the past, but I think I want to look forward.
But you acknowledge it happened.
I acknowledge it happened.
Yeah.
It certainly happened, and I also acknowledge, and there are other people that acknowledge that it happened, that are like, it happened, and I'm glad it happened, and we need to keep it going. And fuck those people, man. I mean, I saw a picture today from a Trump rally, and this is not too far off topic. Somebody's selling Trump flags and all this shit. a bunch of fucking like super conservative bumper stickers, like like you would see on like a what do you guys call those guys? The super fucking libertarian fucking people. Anyways, like just
Ass
crazy
hats?
people, fucking yeah, ass hats. Yeah, we'll go with that for lack of a better term right now. Sovereign citizens. I mean, it looks like a Republican sovereign citizen. It's like a Republican sovereign citizen car, but they're also just like out in the open selling fucking like Nazi fucking flags and fucking SS flags and all that shit. And this is at a rally. This was at his last rally, and they're not even hiding it anymore, guys. I mean, this is the one thing. This is the point that I want to bring up. I mean, I've got a very conservative father-in-law. And, like, he likes to fucking, like, there's a family rule where Dave and Michael are not supposed to talk about politics. And,
that's not in the Constitution.
And it should be in the family constitution. But he breaks it constantly, and I always hold my shit back. But, really what it comes down to is...
Dave!
He's the one who always starts it. But I'm the one that finishes it. But I'll tell you, my point is and this was a good point that I heard, that if you voted for Trump and if you still support Trump, then you've basically decided that racism is not a deal breaker for you.
Oh yeah.
And that's pretty fucked up. In my book, that's pretty fucked up.
I've been the quote unquote token liberal at a lot of Christmas parties with Rachel's family or their friends of the family, and I've actually been pointed out across the room. This is funnier than shit. Like I was on my like a third rum and coke, and somebody's like, "Yeah, Justin voted for Barack Obama." I was like, "Fucking bring it!"
Why are they pointing you out like that, man? They're throwing you the fucking wolves.
No, so because he's so big.
Yeah, well, and they also knew that I didn't give a shit. I was like, so then like 15 minutes after that, I'm sitting at this table with like 4 or 5 Trump supporters around me trying to tell me how shitty Obamacare was, and it was stuff like there's a younger kid sitting to my right, and they're like the older uncle was like, "Did you sign up for Obamacare?" And the kid's like, "No, I didn't." I was like, you know what? He doesn't have to, because now he's covered under his parents' policy till he's 26. And they're like,
"That's part of Obamacare."
I was like, "Yeah, that's a thing, isn't it?" You know.
I don't. So I will just tell a short story, and then I'm gonna have to walk away for a moment to get another beverage. But when the Affordable Care Act, as I like to call it, was passing, I was having a nice, pleasant dinner with my father-in-law, who is about 4 martinis deep, and he said some pretty offensive things. And we got into a screaming argument at a restaurant in front of a lot of people.
I have a question. Did he drop the hard in?
Oh, big time.
Oh.
I can run you through it real quick.
I love those people that drop the hard in and then tell me I need to be civil.
Yes. Oh, I know. That's why I kind of had a hard time with it, because of the hard end. And he does it every once in a while. He did it the last time I saw him. It's hard to reconcile these things, but no, he said, I remember talking to him, and I'm like, well, I've got a big problem with him dropping the public option from this, but I knew, I know now that the only time that the only way he had a window to pass the legislation, and the only way he was going to be able to do it was if he dropped the public option, because then he was able to get everybody on board. The public option was the best thing that would have ever happened to American healthcare ever. Well, yeah, up until this point, yes, far better. Let the government compete, drive down prices.
I can get behind the public option.
Yeah, the public option was going to be fucking fantastic, and it really pissed me off that it got dropped off, but I understand why now. I was younger then. But I heard that he was a hard end, spending money like a hard end, and he didn't know what he was doing. And this was in a restaurant, and I lost my shit. This is an upper middle class to lower upper class man telling me how things work, and I really, really, really enjoyed that. So
it's also fun when people talk about Barack Obama like that, and then talk about the Democratic spending habits when Donald Trump is just blowing the federal
Holy
deficit out of the
shit,
water.
you want to talk about the federal deficit right now? It is insane. I'm sorry, guys. I
Well, I mean,
don't usually get to talk about this stuff, but I haven't seen other people, so I have to preface this whole thing right now.
Do you live in a bubble, like a literal bubble in your apartment, or is he not allowed outside, Shay?
No, he's got to have. I'm gonna say this just because I haven't spoken in a while. I've just been here drinking.
Yeah, for those of you who aren't on this Skype thing,
for a solid week and a half now, and it hasn't happened yet. So I'm just glad to see he's alive.
Yeah, while Dave and I are chatting, Shay is just sipping drinks and pounding beers.
Well, I've just been I'm recently unemployed, and I've got way too much time on my hands, and I don't know how to spend it other than furiously applying to jobs and thinking about Shay's beautiful face, and now Justin. He ain't looking so bad either.
I know, it's almost like we're
related.
Yep.
Finishing each other's sandwiches.
Oh, look at that. Finishing each other's sandwiches. All right, so Elizabeth Warren did her thing. We're not a big fan of it. Don't really think it worked out.
We were talking about that. Okay.
Yeah, we were.
Shit. My bad.
Like I said, we go where the alcohol takes us. Like, we don't, I have an outline. If we don't follow it, I don't give a shit. This is something I did want to talk about, and I think it's funnier than fuck, is that Donald Trump, we've been kind of like flirting around my outline the whole time. It's not a big deal. But Donald Trump has been basically booted. His rallies have been booted from Fox News because they're just fucking killing his ad revenue. I guess what they're doing is killing the Fox News ad revenue. So we're at a point in the election cycle that Donald Trump is going to love, because he gets to go to town to town to town to town and do these rallies where everybody chants his name, chants lock her up. He gets to say absurdly false and fucking ridiculous things, and people cheer for him. Like, this is he's just rock hard the entire time. That's how this is going to work. But Fox News has stopped covering these things in their entirety.
They stopped entirely, or just cut back coverage?
They what they do is they used to, when he would do this stuff, like right after the election, and he kept doing these rallies for some fucking reason because he just needed people to cheer his name.
He never. No. It's not that he kept doing them. He never stopped.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right. Well, I guess my inference is that when you are elected president, you should stop doing these rallies to somehow elect yourself president. It was really weird
for a little bit.
Yeah. Like, it's election season now. We're ramping up to the midterm. It's totally understandable that he would go out and campaign for Republican candidates. That's not unheard of. I mean, every Democrat and Republican president that's sat in the White House does that. I mean, it's a big get. But like, Donald Trump has done this since he was fucking elected and inaugurated. Like, it's just insane. He just loves this rally mentality because he gets to just, as like I said, spout random fucking wrong things and people cheer. But like right after the election, Fox News would cover the.
No, not wrong. This is a gigantic disconnect that I think a lot of people that are politically aligned on our side think is outrageous, and we need to stop thinking this is outrageous. What he says is gospel to these people.
Oh, no. These people believe this wholeheartedly, but it's just not true. Like, the things he says that they cheer for.
It doesn't matter anymore.
No, it doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. I mean, Donald Trump's going to save coal, and then he says that 8 more coal plants are going to open up in the next 6 months, and the president of the Federation of Coal, or whatever it's called, I'm just riffing here. There was an article. There was articles in I think it was the New York Times. They're like, they asked him. He's like, I have absolutely no knowledge of any new coal plants opening up. Like, he just says shit, and everybody claps, and then Fox News goes, see, Donald Trump's winning, and then the people like us or the actual industries he's talking about go, the fuck? Like, that's not, like, what are you talking about? So
I do want to point out real quick that then just to be a tick that coal is now twice as expensive as new solar per megawatt hour.
Oh yeah,
just want to point that out.
It's just getting raped. And you know what? You know, Barack Obama didn't kill coal, natural gas, and the flourishing and lower costs
Technology
of
killed coal. Moving
Right,
forward,
yeah.
good coal. Good
Right,
coal.
yeah.
I mean, shit.
yeah. But
Shay,
Donald
I
Trump's
love watching you just fucking drink and drink and drink, buddy.
Shay's just
You're like-
pounding drinks like I am.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get all angry and opinionated. That's like Adderall
Dave's
today.
all worked up here. So no, but like after the election, Fox News would carry Donald Trump's rallies in their entirety, and people like loved it. And apparently, Fox News has stopped doing that about a week and a half ago because, like we've said, he says the same stupid shit over and over again. It's the same rally. There's no variation. So instead of just showing his entire rally in its entirety, they've been like, all right, we'll dip in whenever he says something like we think is interesting. And it pissed Trump off so much that the day they made that decision, he called into Fox News twice.
Was that
Like-
what he called it? Fox and Friends in the morning?
Yeah.
For the second time and freaked out?
Yeah, he called in. Apparently, they made this decision, and Politico, shared a story that talked about how they were going to stop doing the full viewing of his rallies. And I guess Donald Trump saw that story at like 5 p.m. and he called into one of the shows at like 11, and on Wednesday, and then Thursday morning he called in and did a 47-minute phone interview with Fox and Friends where he just
That
said
was
a bunch
Fox
of
and Friends in the morning, and it was the second time where he called in there, and they just were trying so hard to get him off the line before he said something fucking stupid.
They're like, yeah, he's going off the rails. And the other theory, and I want you guys to like weigh in on this, is that the other theory is to keep himself in the news cycle. That's one of the reasons they did the Kanye West lunch on Thursday.
No, the Kanye West lunch was actually previously planned because actually it wasn't just Kanye West. Kid Rock was also there. Didn't know if you guys know that.
Now, see, here's the thing. I was worried and thought it was weird when I was like, oh, hey, Donald Trump is meeting with Kanye West. But then I found out Kid Rock was there. So I don't see what the big deal is. He's
There was
going to be
also
the
Jim
moderate.
Brown, a football legend from Cleveland.
Right, yeah.
There, and civil rights
Kid
leader,
Rock,
but
was Kid Rock in the room? He was not in the room during that.
he was not in the room for that.
Oh, no,
wait,
was
Kid
he
Rock
not?
Was in the room?
No.
No, I think that was just a duet at that point, a duet of narcissism.
Pretty much. And the other thing is that the thing that spawned out of that Kanye West thing, like let me be like full disclosure here. Kanye West is a jackass. And the reason I can say that is because I don't respect Kanye West basically at all.
Wait,
Because
what about his music?
I don't give a shit about his music. I think his music is pretty shitty anyway. Like, Kanye West became famous for producing several Jay-Z songs. Not a big fan of Jay-Z. Like, I'm not saying that people that are fans of Jay-Z or Kanye West are just stupid because of that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I don't give a shit about his music. So the one thing that he's quote-unquote a genius in, I think is stupid regardless. So that makes him 1,000% stupid in my mind. And you're going to put him in the fucking Oval Office and talk about extra dimensional. He's in another dimension. He's in prison, and that the 13 Amendments, the trapdoor that you fall through, and you end up with the Unabomber. And then he showed the president a fucking picture of the plane that Air Force One should be, and that plane he showed a picture on his phone was it was a mock-up by some graduate student in 2012. Like, he was like, yeah, a totally hydrogen plane should look like this, and just Photoshop some shit. He might as well have shown him a goddamn X-Wing. I mean, what the fuck?
Wait, can I ask you this? I want Shay's opinion on this. Hey, Shay.
Yo.
If you were invited to the Oval Office by Trump, regardless of whatever president it was, if you were invited to the Oval Office, and you were, put yourself in the shoes of pretend you were a black man and you were
What the
speaking.
fuck was that sound?
And you exactly. I don't know. Well, he would sound like Suge Knight, but anyways, pretend you're trying to speak for like your people, okay? Now, would you sit in front of the desk where Abraham Lincoln, like, freed the slaves, did all this work? Would you ever say "motherfucker" in that office ever, like on tape? Now, granted, plenty of presidents and plenty of people have sworn in that room, and horrible things have been said in there, and arguably horrible things have been done in there, but I think that was highly disrespectful. Shay, I want your opinion on this.
I would not do it, but I am not surprised that Kanye West did it.
Oh, right.
Like, that's not... I mean, for both Trump and Kanye, all this is a publicity. Nobody's a blip. It's something to boost, to get you up in the news in a positive light. Because, you know, Kanye, he looked like a jackass after that shit on SNL, and Trump just chronically looks like a jackass. So he'll take any scraps he can get. In a month or two, no one's going to be thinking about this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's PR. That's all it is. I mean, to me, it just reeks of a publicity stunt. It's not a planned one. It's not like, I doubt there was some overarching
it was
strategy.
Planned. Like, they had to invite him to it.
But like, this is not something where it's like, okay, you know, 6-7 months ago, the people in the White House are thinking, okay, how can we get Kanye West into the White House?
Yeah.
I mean, this is not something. It was just.
No, just let me ask you this: Are you a music fan? Do you listen to music?
Yes. People who say they don't listen to music are full of shit.
Okay, now Kanye West, I hate to admit it, is quite talented, and he actually produced and was on an album this year that I very much appreciated from one of Cleveland's own, Kid Cudi. Fantastic fucking album. Kids should go sometimes. Check it out. It's fucking amazing.
I haven't heard of him. Don't give a shit.
It's great. I mean, but I mean, I don't give a shit either. He needs to stop doing this nonsense. Stick to what he knows. Stop doing this nonsense, Kanye. God damn, I'm not a Kanye booster. But for fuck's sake, dude.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, not a Kanye booster. I'm
like, here's the thing, like I'm into like classic rock and like metal and rock and roll. So like Kanye is not even in my fucking wheelhouse. And so, like, yeah, he's had, like, was it Gold Digger? Yeah, it's got a great beat, and, you know, I won't turn it off when it comes on the radio. But, like, I don't go out of my way to listen to Kanye West songs. So, like, when people say, yeah, he might sound like a jackass, but he's a musical genius. Like, okay, great. Then have him sit in the corner and talk. Yeah, stick to fucking music.
Shut the fuck up.
The SNL guy did a thing on the, what is that? What do they call it? It's not nightly news, not weekly news. Or
Weekend
something like
Update.
Thank you. Weekend Update. Yeah, he did a Weekend Update. He was like, you know what? Joey Chestnut is a genius about eating hot dogs, but I don't want to know his fucking political, opinion.
Agreed. That's exactly. You know what? That's exactly where I land on this.
Well, and the problem is like we're sitting here doing a podcast as people that aren't fucking experts in anything, and that's fine because we're asking, like if you want to listen to this podcast, that's great. If you don't. No skin off our ass. And we're actually surprised by how many people actually listen to this podcast. Shay and I are actually floored every time we look at like the results on SoundCloud.
It's like, like 61 or 62?
Yeah, like 65 people listened to the last episode. And we were like, that's the first episode of the quote-unquote Woodscast. And we're like, who the fuck are these people? We love you to death. We have a fun time doing it. Like, one of the things that I tell everybody is that I get to talk to my brother at least once a week. We pound some drinks. We talk about shit that we care about. I can't wait till we do the Dark Tower episode and the It episode. We're playing this shit out. We're having fun. Dave, glad to have you on. Like, we love that. Just people want to be involved in this, and we love it. But we're not saying that we're political experts. We're just giving our opinion about like shit that we see that passes by us in life. Kanye West is a fucking musical artist and thinks that he has some fucking clout to walk into the White House, the Oval fucking office, and talk to the sitting president of the United States about policy. Like Dave, you were asking if
click clack and fucking
yeah,
reporters. And
exactly.
Like pretend like what he has to say fucking means something. It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything.
And no other sitting president before this would have allowed that to happen because they knew it would have been a fucking circus. But this entire administration is a circus. This is like a perfect example of exactly how fucking horrible things have gotten politically in this country.
your question to Shay earlier, like if I sat there and talked to Donald Trump, like first of all, I don't think I would take that invitation for. I can't imagine a reason I would sit down and talk to Donald Trump. But if I was sitting there,
I would absolutely.
I don't know. I would absolutely do it. You get an invitation from a sitting president to go and do whatever you want, and say whatever you want. You fucking take that.
Well, okay. Well, let me just throw out the scenario then. Like Donald Trump says, so what do you think about my presidency? And I just start just railing on him. Like how many seconds do you think I get before I'm just like hoisted out of my seat and carried off by the Secret Service? No.
Would you rather? I mean, would you rather not get that opportunity? Like, worse. You
guys are right. You guys are right. I'd totally take it.
If you did that, that should go on your resume.
Mm.
Like, was thrown out of White House.
Right.
Like that's.
Well, where I was going with that is that, you're right.
Do you think Scaramucci gets to throw his White House experience on his resume?
Oh, I bet he does.
I'm sure he does.
I would.
And I'm sure he rates it down to the minutes he was there because it wasn't that long. But no, like the thing about like to your earlier question, like I would be sober in the White House, and unless Donald, like I usually swear when I'm drinking like a sailor. So like if I was sober in the White House, I don't think I would drop an F-bomb in front of the sitting president. In
front of the desk in the Oval Office where Abraham fucking Lincoln sat? Are you kidding me? That's so insane. Disrespectful to this country. It's insane. It is insane. I mean, dude, he might have signed the Emancipation Proclamation at that fucking desk. You don't know, dude. And then Kanye goes off and says, oh, well, maybe we should repeal that fucking amendment. You can't repeal an amendment. He doesn't even know how the government works.
Oh, he doesn't know how electricity works. Like, he doesn't know how anything works. His cell phone code is
0000.
It was good stuff. You okay there, Shay?
Listen, you guys keep talking about how much I'm drinking. You're not talking about how much I'm smoking. Yeah. I have a brand new vaporizer because I broke my old one. I spilled Coca-Cola Classic on it.
What, your tabletop? You broke your old tabletop?
My Buddha. We can talk about this offline, sissy hips. But I bought a new Buddha and it works fantastic. And you know, I have to make use of this mute button on the headset because I took a pretty big hit there.
I'm just watching Shay take sips and pound beers and then like take a big old hit off something and then just zone out for a minute.
My body is a temple.
Yeah.
I fill with substances.
See, I don't know if Justin knew exactly how vocal I am about lots of things, so I apologize if I'm too vocal, but I don't. So that's a very Trumpian way to say that. I apologize for saying things, but I'm gonna say them anyways. Boom, done.
Well, and I'm present, you're not, so shut up. Like that.
Well, I'm gonna let you drive this ship. I apologize for my verbose attitude.
Not a problem. We go where the shots of the beers or the vaporizer takes us.
Well, now I'm gonna put my phone down. I gotta go get a glass of rosé, but I'm still connected.
All right. So let's talk about. This is one of the things that always chaps my ass, and Shay, you and I have talked about this before. Dave hasn't, of course, been on the podcast yet, so I don't know his views on this. I'm sure he's not going to be pro voter suppression, but we got some really fucking shitty shit going on in Georgia. Have you been following this, Shay?
Yeah, you're talking about it's the exact match rule, right? And there's more to it than that probably, but I'm as far as like what's been in the headlines and listening to the news and whatnot, I'm very familiar with it.
Yeah, it's some shit that I hate to keep coming back to this, but it's shit that the Republican Party. I mean, the Republican Party has declared itself the enemy of actual open voting. Like, I've been told for years that conservative thought and conservative legislation, conservatism as a whole is just way better than liberal ideas or legislation or thought or whatever. But if it's so star-spangled fucking awesome, why can't it stand up to an actual open election? Because what we got going on in Georgia right now is that hold on, I lost my place in my outline. All right. So right now we got there's a gubernatorial race going on in Georgia between Stacey Abrams and Brian Kemp. And Brian Kemp is the current sitting Secretary of State, which means he gets to oversee the election. That sounds fucked up as shit.
He gets to control the rules.
Right, like how are you going to oversee the election in which you are running? So there's an obvious conflict of interest.
How many people do they purge from the rolls? I mean, I don't have
we'll get there. We'll get there. We're getting there. So that's an obvious conflict of interest. Now, Stacey Abrams has asked for him to resign from the Secretary of State position while he runs for the governor's race, and he declares he can't. He totally won't because there's no conflict of interest because he's a national asshat. You guys might remember him. He made national news when he pointed a shotgun at a young man who he said wanted to date his daughter. Yep. Do you ever see that ad?
Yep.
Yeah. Like I saw it in passing, and it's like, well, he's kind of pointing it like in his direction, kind of like, yeah, the whole, I have a shovel and I'll bury you if you bang my daughter, dad thing. But like I watched the ad again. No, he points it right at this fucking kid, like right at a fucking kid in a campaign ad. So that's how he got national prominence. Stacey Abrams is a black woman and could be the first black female governor in the history of the United States.
Ever.
And she's ever. Yeah. So she's the history of the United States starts at ever. So she's running and he's the Secretary of State, so he gets to control the voting. Now, just a little background on Brian Kemp and how much of an asshat he is. In 2016, the federal government approached him and said, hey, your voting system is entirely open. And when we mean entirely open, it's on open servers. Like, everybody can copy it, fuck with it, download it, whatever they wanted to do. And they said, would you like help protecting it? And Brian Kemp said, no, not at all, because, it's impossible anybody would fuck with it. And, of course, we know what happened in 2016 with Russian influence. Brian Kemp said that there was absolutely no way that the Russians got involved in the Georgia voting system as far as voter rolls and turnout. He said his system was totally taken care of. It's totally okay. Just as a side note, in the this primary, the 2018 primary, one of the counties in Georgia had a 243% turnout. There's only it was a small town. There's only 267 registered voters. I'm sorry, 276 registered voters, and somehow 670 ballots were cast. So, so shit's awesome.
I don't personally like this dude, but you know what I do like and do appreciate on somebody is a good set of fucking cojones, man. The balls on this dude.
Oh, this guy doesn't give a
Holy
shit.
shit, he does not care at all. Not one bit, dude. I mean, he's got a big truck, and if nobody else is going to take the illegals to the border, he's gonna.
Yeah, that was his whole thing. He started his election. He bought a big bus. And he was going to round up all the illegals and take them out of the country. So, yeah. So 2018 primary was already fucked.
Meanwhile, fruit rots on the fucking trees and vines there in Georgia because they can't get people to fucking pick it.
I saw an article about how avocados are gonna maybe wither on the vine and not be picked because we didn't have enough, migrant workers to pick them. And I'm okay with that because I fucking hate avocados. So
you're just wrong. You're just wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Dave, this is something you need to understand about my brother. He does not eat things that are green.
Oh shit, my brother doesn't do that either. So he's got kind of like a whole.
That's what my food eats.
Yeah, he doesn't eat what his food eats. But I get it. I'm a millennial. I like avocado toast. I'm guilty as charged.
Wait.
Oh, really?
Avocado
delicious.
That's the stupidest shit ever.
You put some fucking Chicago steak seasoning on that shit.
What year were
toast
you born?
it.
80. I'm 5 years older than Shay.
Shay, do you have a comment on your brother's ridiculous choice in diet?
I mean, he doesn't. I mean, I grew up with the man. He doesn't eat green shit. Like,
it's stunning by growth.
I mean,
exactly.
what if it's like a red pepper? Red peppers aren't green. They got anthocyanins in them. Makes it red. Like, we're good there, right? You can eat a red pepper.
Yeah, as long as it's not big enough for me to bite into.
I mean, this rosé.
Vegetables are off the table.
Yeah,
telling you, you don't even know. No,
the doctor said the fact that I didn't eat vegetables when I was a kid stunted my growth, and I'm 6'3", I weigh 280 pounds right now. I really worry about what I would have been if I ate vegetables.
You would have been a monster. You know what? You know what you could have been? You could have been a linebacker, and you fucked it up. You could have.
I did. I fucked it up. If I just eat some carrots.
What's West Virginia ranked at right now? Did you go to school?
I didn't go to West Virginia. No, Marshall. Fuck off.
Oh well, I know Shay went to Marshall. Did you go to Marshall?
So did he.
Oh yeah, eat a bag of dicks, Dave.
Marshall's not ranked right now. Didn't they make a sad movie about that with Matthew McConaughey, where like they all got killed in a bus crash or something? It's like a true story.
Actually, they made a movie about the plane crash in '75, where a lot of people died. So,
well,
it was an actual thing that happened that really devastated a town. So,
well, I mean,
next words carefully, Dave.
I'm not gonna talk shit about a town getting devastated like what's that one? Mexico Beach, Florida. I mean, they had a handgun factory there. It got hit by a series of tornadoes before the hurricane happened, and it was still fine.
Anyway.
Well, global warming changed that.
The problem with Georgia is that Brian Kemp is still the Secretary of State, and like Dave was saying, he has 53,000 voter registrations on hold right now for this election. 70% of those, as you have almost always heard in the news, are are minorities, African American and Latinos, and he's saying that this isn't a big deal. Like, it's just I have to say it bums me out how many times I have to ask why the fucking Republican Party doesn't want people to vote. I mean, I know the answer, but it's so plain and it's right there. It's it's one of those things. It's like, don't listen to what they say, just watch what they fucking do.
It's funny. My parents are from Ohio, and they just recently moved to Colorado. And my parents received notice before they moved to Colorado that they were being purged from the voter rolls for not participating in an election.
In Ohio?
In Ohio. Ohio, one of the largest swing states, the state that every president has carried to win an election.
It's one of the swingiest states ever. So, question. I don't know if you might or might not know this. Like,
I know a lot about Ohio politics, but shoot, see if I know.
But about your parents. Did they vote? Were they consistent voters? Because I know that Ohio
always.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing, because I remember.
But they still received notice. They still received notice that they were being purged from the rolls.
After their move, for what?
I mean, the thing is that they were both participating. But they were claiming I don't know the odds and ends of it, but the thing is, my parents lived in the same place, and they were still getting purged from the rolls, and both my parents looked at each other, and they're like, what the fuck is this about? They're both attorneys, and they were like, what the fuck is this about? Like, it seemed pretty shady to them, and, that says something.
No, that's exactly right. I'm trying to look it up now, and I don't want to take a lot of time while you guys stare at me and I Google shit, but I believe
but Ohio, you're like a more buff Shay. It's kind of hot.
I'm just bigger. Shay's in better shape than I am. Trust me.
Hey Shay, cheers, buddy.
For those of you who aren't, this is a audio media, but Shay and Dave are cheersing through Skype right now. It's pretty cute. But no, if I'm not mistaken, there's a Supreme Court decision that allowed Ohio to purge people who had not participated in an election. I think that it was like 20 or 25, 25 years or something like that.
But it was like a 2-year cycle, though. But it was a 2-year cycle. Yeah.
Right. But like, if your parents had voted.
But
like
they still had, and they received letters that said that they were being purged. Well, my mother did. I can't confirm on my father, but my mother I can confirm that she received notice that she was being purged from the voter rolls because it could not be confirmed that she had voted in the last 2 years. Now my parents, they vote every November no matter what, municipal
Right.
elections, all that nonsense they do, and my mother still received this notice. But she disregarded it because, fuck it, she now lives here in Colorado.
Right, right.
And
But it's something to pay attention to. Like that's like on our when we were doing the Purple Report, Shay might remember. Jay and I, went back and forth about this. Like Jay said, it was okay. Like the Supreme Court decision said, like they're purging people that hadn't voted in 20 years. Let's just say 20. I could have that time frame wrong, but let's say 20 years.
Sure.
Hadn't voted in 20 years.
Don't matter.
Doesn't matter. But there's nowhere, if I'm not mistaken, there's nowhere when I signed up to register to vote in Illinois that said that like my voter registration would expire in X amount of years, right? Like that's the job of the goddamn Secretary of State and the state of Ohio or Illinois, wherever you're living, is to take your voter registration and to keep it and to hold it. Like, you remember that skit in Seinfeld where he goes to rent a car and he's like, well, I have a reservation. He's like, yeah, but don't have the cars left.
The cars left.
He's like, well, I have a reservation. He's like, yeah, but we ran out of cars. He's like, well, I mean, but the reservation's supposed to hold the car. He's like, well, yeah, I mean, but we ran out of cars. He's like, I know what a reservation means, sir. He's like, I don't think you do. Anybody can take a reservation. It's holding. It's the point. Like that's the point of the Secretary of State and the government is to
By the
hold
way,
the registration.
fantastic Seinfeld reference. Thank you.
I'm pretty good like that. But like that's insane. Like I would like to know why your mother was at least purged. Now moving to Colorado.
You know what? I'm gonna bring this up with her tomorrow because I'm unemployed and I have an office set up at their house just so I can get out of my house and pretend like I'm going to a job every day. So I'm gonna bring this up.
You said he didn't leave his house.
What's that?
Shay said you didn't leave your apartment.
Oh, I leave my house to go to their house, and that night I can bring my dogs over there.
I mean, for fun stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, for fun stuff. Yeah, I don't go do anything fun anymore. My wife's sitting in the kitchen being like, what the fuck? What are you doing? Doing a podcast, baby.
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah.
Yeah, so, like I said, I would like for us, at least in this podcast, Shay, you can disagree with me if you want. We're going to bring up every instance of voter suppression we can, because it's fucking bullshit. Like, let everybody vote.
It's 2018. There's no excuse to not have some sort of digital system that just has everybody's voter registration, and you can pull up, enter somebody's name and social security number, whatever you need to do, pull it up. Like, it's not, you don't need to have, like, roles that need to be purged. Once you register, you should be registered for life. If you don't vote, that's your thing. But there's no reason you can't catalog that data. And if someone decides to vote after 20 years, be like, oh, hey, what's up? You can still vote because you were registered.
Yeah. And maybe
or whatever.
Shay, that being said, I mean, digital registration, all that's fantastic, but paper ballots, always.
Oh, yeah,
right?
That's fine. Yeah,
always.
that's fine.
Thank God.
I'm talking about there's no reason that you can't register to vote and then that information be kept track of. There's not a room full of people digging through paper printed, filing cabinets of paper to find your voter registration. You don't need to have that anymore.
Well, and you heard about the purges that they did in Idaho with in Heidi Heidkamp, up for re-election there or up for a fucking election there.
Right.
And they're trying to claim that you can't register with a PO box. Now, I don't know if you guys know about reservations,
but that's actually pretty racist.
Yeah, it's incredibly racist. It's not pretty racist. It's incredibly racist, and it's absolutely targeting Native American voters. Yeah. And I don't know if you guys know this, but up in Idaho, a lot of Native American voters. Yeah. There are a lot of reservations up there, but you know what? Like they don't receive mail at their home because there's no mail delivered to their home. In fact, I actually don't get mail delivered to my home, even though I live 2 blocks from the fucking post office. They won't walk it over to my house. I have to walk over there. I have to have a P.O. box. I'm registered with a P.O. box. Do you know how much bullshit that's caused me? A bunch of bullshit bureaucratically. Because they're like, oh, well, what's your physical address? Well, what's your, my mailing address is this. My fucking mailing address, my fucking physical address is this. It's caused me problems with all kinds of nonsense.
Well, and that's one of the things, and that's one of the things that's used as a very sly and a very, left-handed or passive-aggressive voter suppression tactic is that in the United States you can register to vote, and all you have to have is a physical address that at which you pick up mail. Period. End of story.
Done.
Full stop.
Done.
Full stop.
Full stop. Agreed.
If you are homeless, you can pick a church or shelter that will collect your mail for you, and you can go pick it up whenever you fucking feel like it. Like Dave was saying, the whole thing with Heidi High Camp in Idaho is about Native Americans who don't get mail delivered directly to their homes or wherever they their domiciles on the reservation. They have a post office box on the reservation that they go and pick up their mail. They were told by the state to register their addresses as post office boxes, and then the state turned around and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, you can't register to vote if you have a post office. We're gonna purge all the people that have PO boxes." Like, it's such a transparent bullshit way of keeping people from voting who are citizens. Like, no, like, you'll hear Sean Hannity and all that fever dream that is Fox News say the Democrats want illegal immigrants to vote. No, they're not fucking citizens. They can't vote. They shouldn't be able to vote. But citizens of the United States that have a fucking post office box and maybe live way the fuck away from a state road, who just don't get their mail dropped off every afternoon at 3 p.m. still get the fucking vote. That's in the Constitution.
Have you ever fucking been to Idaho?
I love their potatoes.
There's fucking dude.
Shay, that's the only vegetable I'll eat.
I mean, Shay, you've been to rural Colorado, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, rural ass Colorado. You've been like fucking Rifle or fucking like wherever.
Yeah.
Like, dude. I mean, there's nothing. Like, how do you expect the U.S. Post Office to maintain service
we grew up in
to
West
deliver
Virginia?
to your fucking house every day? There's not a fucking mailbox. You don't have a fucking mailbox. You gotta go get your own mail. That's pretty goddamn good. The U.S. Post Office is, like, actually, and I hate to say this, a pretty well-functioning bureaucracy
it's
of the
amazing.
U.S. government. It's amazing what they're able to do. Yes, they're losing, like,
Dave,
bunches of money.
They're losing a bunch of money because the Republican Party made them, I think, fund their retirement for like 60 years or something stupid. But let me just give you an example of how awesome the USPS is. I bought a Trump North Korea summit coin.
Which, by the way, I know you bought it for Shay, and I want to stop you right quick. I am more jealous now than I have been of all of my friends of their gifts that they've received ever. That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I haven't seen it yet in person. I went on eBay and looked it up, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy one of these," and then I lost my job, and I was like, "Ugh!" But that is amazing.
Well, just
continue. My apologies.
Just for your financial reference, I bought it for $19.95 after it took a $5 sale cut, because the whole thing went sideways pretty much. And I mailed it to Shay, and Shay goes, "Oh, god damn it! You needed to put some what did you want? You wanted like verification or like signing, tracking or something on it?"
No, I don't. There are certain modes of the postal service that I just don't trust.
Right. Well, and Shay like totally weirded me out. I'm like, "Oh man, weird." I was like, "Oh no!" And then like he sends me a text the next day. He's like, "Oh, I got it." I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, I was able to send this absolutely garish fucking challenge coin from the U.S. North Korean summit to Shay for fucking like $2, and it got there. I was happy as shit.
But you can trust the USPS, and also a nice thing about the USPS, can't open your mail without a warrant.
Exactly.
Fun fact. Not to advertise.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we need to wrap this up so that Shay and I don't do what we did last time, which was go for like fucking almost 3 hours. All right, so Dave, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we'd like to wrap up the podcast with This Week in Awesome and This Week in Asshats. So we do Asshats first. Always try to end on a positive note. So, Shay, do you have a nomination for This Week in Asshats?
Honestly, not particularly. I could not pick one. You've got Donald Trump.
This is good radio, by the way.
Huh?
This is good radio.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could say Donald Trump because he said, was it today or yesterday, he had said on that 60 Minutes interview that he basically just didn't care about that woman's accusations because they won and got got him elected.
Yes.
So, like, I could say, like, Donald Trump, but that seems like low-hanging fruit, but that's the one that, it just seems too easy to throw him out there for that.
It's there, yeah.
Hey, Woods boys, can I roll on this?
Yeah, no, like that. You're next. You're up next.
Oh, okay. Well, Shay, you got any more? I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know the decorum for this.
No, you're good. Shay said his. So, who's your ass hat of the week here, Dave?
My ass hat of the week? Ass hat of the week. Well, there's an idiot flying to Saudi Arabia right now to basically smooth over an assassination. So that's an ass hat right there.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that at all today, but that's still developing.
Well, I do have an asset though, but we'll wait till assets.
No, you're on asshats.
Oh well, no, I thought you said ass hats or assets.
No, ass hat.
Very good. Yeah, Pompeo, fucking ass hat. Goddamn puppet, fuck that guy.
Yeah, so if you've been in a cave, the Saudi Arabian government apparently, apparently they assassinated a Washington Post journalist in Turkey, and now Donald Trump is really wishy-washy on saying they did it, and they're going, hey, we didn't do it, like they were gonna fucking fess up to it, but Mike Pompeo is currently on a plane flying to Saudi Arabia right now to smooth that shit over.
He probably just landed, and apparently, I've heard that the Saudi Arabian government is going to say, yeah, we got him, and it was an interrogation and got out of hand because they're so fucking spooked and scared about fucking up the relationship with the United States because they don't want to be paired with China and Russia. That's like a fucking tier 2 relationship. They want a tier 1 relationship with these guys.
They were so afraid. They were so afraid of ruining their relationship with the United States, they brought their own bone saw to dismember the journalist after they killed him.
He was going in
totally
to
fucking buy that.
To get like a marriage license. That's all he was trying to do.
And the really insane thing about that insider story, which is still developing, and we might talk. Well, maybe we can talk about it next week. Is that he synced his Apple Watch to his iPhone and left it with his fiance, and apparently that's a lot of the recordings that they're talking about is that he recorded his own beating and murder through an Apple Watch.
Yikes!
That's fucking grisly.
That's fucking brutal.
Oh, that's fucking grisly.
Now, Justin, I've thoroughly enjoyed our time.
Well, we're not done yet. We're still not done yet.
Oh,
okay,
can we also talk about Taylor Swift? She's my asset. I thought you said ass hats and assets.
We'll get there.
So Taylor Swift is my asset
Dave,
of
the
week. Yeah, I'm into it.
Dave,
way to go, Taylor Swift.
Slow your roll.
All right.
So my ass hat of the week is Jeffrey Ziegler. I don't know if you guys have heard about this guy, but in a couple years ago, a young black man named Brandon Walker knocked on his door asking for direction. And he walked out with a shotgun and shot this kid. You remember that?
At him.
Yeah, right at him. He told the detectives and everybody, like, he was arrested very shortly after that. It's this young black kid, Brendan Walker. It's like, I think he was like 14 or 15 at the time. He had missed his bus, and he just walked to the nearest house and knocked on the door asking for directions to his high school. Like, how do I get there from here? And apparently Ziegler's wife said, why are you trying to break into my house? And like ran inside, and he like took a couple steps back and was like, what the fuck was that? And then he took another step forward and knocked on the door again and took like a couple steps back, and right then like the Ziegler, who's a retired fireman, bust out of the door, and this kid just fucking books it. And Ziegler has a shotgun, aims it, and fires after him, and thank God missed. But he told police that he tripped and the gun went off accidentally. But he had a security camera that filmed this entire fucking thing. Like the guy brings it up, aims, fires, and the detectives like sat him down and were like, "Why don't you just fucking admit that you did this?" Because like they showed him the tape, and in that interrogation, he apparently took a sip of water and said, "I'm tired of being the victim." And they're like, "What the fuck does that even mean?" And yeah, he got convicted just on Tuesday. A couple felonies. He's gonna go to jail forever. That's fucking awesome. Fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
That's on. Yeah, I think it was on Friday that the conviction came down. It was so fuck that guy. All right, so Dave, this is where we do our This Week in Awesome. Now let's go with Dave because Shay, I don't think he's gonna shut up long enough for you to say something. Dave, apparently T Swift is your This Week in Awesome.
You know what? Like, I'm not a fan of the music. But yeah, T Swift. Fuck yeah, T Swift. Way to register. Like, perhaps spawn the registration of 60,000 people.
Yeah.
In Tennessee.
That was a big jump.
That's pretty fucking awesome. I'm into it.
So she came, you know, for those of you who, again, have been in a cave.
And then she was told, that, like, oh, who cares what 16-year-old girl thinks? It's like, well, you just had Kanye out there. Whatever.
Exactly,
Who the fuck cares? Fuck that shit. You can explain it. Justin, that's your job.
So Taylor Swift posted on Instagram, I think, and supported the Democratic candidates in Tennessee. I'm not going to try to remember the names because I'll fuck them all up. But she just said she would vote for the Democratic candidates in Tennessee because the Republican candidates, didn't support any of her beliefs. And she was immediately excoriated by people on the right. It was funny. She actually got a lot of blowback from, like, honest-to-God white supremacists who thought that she was, like, some kind of Aryan goddess and was, like, on their side. Yeah. They lost their shit because they thought, you know, country music background Taylor Swift turned pop star was on their side. And when she said she was going to support Democrats, they lost their shit. Now, and like Dave said, there was this big blowback of like, you know, she's just a music artist. Why don't she shut the fuck up? Nobody wants to know what she has to say. Right. And like literally the next day, Kanye West is having lunch with President Trump, and they're like, oh, that's the greatest thing ever heard of it. That was pretty good. Dave, that was a great pick. I respect that. The point of facts is that like it's like vote.org or one of the voter registration drive websites noticed a uptick of like 65,000 voter registrations in Tennessee. In Tennessee, I think in Tennessee, I could be wrong about that.
It's Tennessee. It's Tennessee.
No, I mean it was. I can't be sure that all of those voter registrations were specifically in Tennessee.
Well, there was a lot.
Right. But like that's one of the reasons that I think like that's a great thing, and I honestly don't give a shit if Taylor Swift's uptick of 65,000 people were 50-50 Democrat and Republican. The more people that register to vote, the better. So it was a good thing. It's awesome
always, no matter what.
All around. Shay, anything awesome happening? I know you're pumped for Red Dead. Oh goddamn it!
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Redemption.
That's not until the 26th. So
that'll
be that's what I'm talking about. I mean, technically it didn't happen this week, but I found out about it this week, which is
hey Shay,
stories
we don't have a lot of rules on this podcast.
In Minnesota.
What's this? You mentioned this to me, and I have no clue what the fuck you're talking.
So, just because of the temperature differences and the warmer falls and winter, there have been a higher abundance of berries that ferment. So younger birds are eating fermented berries and getting drunk. And the result has been people calling into the local police departments and reporting drunk birds and having to be told by the cops. Minnesota. You can Google this shit. And there's some good stories about people having like 4, 5, 6, whatever birds run into their windshields when they're driving because these birds are eating fermented berries and getting hammered. And they're
have you ever hit a bird while you're driving?
No.
Me either.
Well, I've hit a little one, and it's still just it's jarring as fuck because it's like thunk right there on your windshield. You're like, oh, what the heck is that?
Shay, there's people hitting birds out there because they're drunk.
Yeah, the birds are flying around all drunk. They're eating fermented berries. So
the
that's
younger
this weekend
birds
also
are
with
eating
drunk
the
birds.
fermented berries?
But
Yeah.
Shay, what's awful this week though?
We already said Donald Trump.
We're
Oh
talking-
yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
Donald Trump. I'm sorry, guys.
Welcome
I
to
got a
our
little
conversation
drunk.
5 minutes ago.
Justin, answer your question. The younger birds that eat these fermented berries don't have, they've basically just not lived long enough to acclimate to it. So their livers
Oh, okay.
can't process the berries as well as like a bird that's a few years old. When they eat these berries, they get super drunk and they fly into windows and run into people and fall over and shit because they're hammered.
That's okay. That's a great
And
explanation.
that's awesome. Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering if it was just the fact of like the older birds knew not to eat these older berries.
Yeah,
they're just used to it. Oh, that's pretty fucking badass.
Like to get fucked up.
Yep.
Well, following in Shay's This Week in Awesome, that the police are worried about drunk birds. I had a bunch of other stuff that I thought was pretty awesome this week, but I ran across a news article today, and I'm just going to read the headline. Man run over by lawnmower while trying to kill son with chainsaw, police say.
Yeah, I saw that headline too. What's up with that?
Yeah, so apparently a man in Tennessee, and I don't have his name. I don't really give a shit about his name.
Can I stop you real quick? That sounded like a Florida thing, and I'm really upset it's
No.
Tennessee.
Right. Like, it's totally should have been man run over by lawnmower while trying to kill son with chainsaw, police say, in Florida. That's how it really should be.
I know. I'm sorry.
Right.
I took over the format. My bad.
You're not out of sorts. That should be a Florida man story. But this guy in Tennessee, apparently tried to kill his son on a riding lawnmower while his son was mowing the grass, and his son did a Yui and fucking ran over him with the lawnmower. And he had to have his leg amputated after the fact, after the injuries. Here's the first sentence from the article. Tennessee man who police said was run over with a lawnmower while trying to kill his son with a chainsaw had to have his leg amputated. They couldn't serve the warrant on him for attempted murder until after his injuries were, stabilized. And then the article went on to say that there was a quote unquote feud between the two. No fucking shit. Like I can't imagine that I would try to kill Shay with a chainsaw because Shay had just made me a thing of brownies. Like, where the fuck was that story going? Like, Dave, I'm with you. This should be in Florida or Germany. That was a game show that used to be played.
Dude.
And I also have to back up Shay. I sent this title to Shay earlier, and he said, "That's so metal, I'm game." Like, that's
I just breezed over the headline earlier, and then you gave me a little bit more detail. Dude.
It hurts. All right.
I don't know if I want to talk about getting injured by heavy machinery, but yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes.
All right, gentlemen. I think it's time for us to wrap this up. Shay, as always, it's been fun. Dave, always glad to have you on the podcast. Pop in whenever you can.
I apologize if I've been a hindrance in any way, but I had a lot of fun this
You
week.
always are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can't be any drunker than... Actually, I think you are drunker than Shay and I, but hey, we don't judge here.
I don't know about that. You guys want to meet up? We can figure out who's drunkest?
I live about 20 hours away, or about 12 hours now.
1, 2, 3, drive down 80. Let's go.
All right. So,
I will say this. If I enjoyed this very much, next time I would like to record live with Shay.
That's fine. That's cool. Whatever you guys want to do. I'm not here to judge. All right. So, as we have said before, this is the Woodscast with Justin and Shay. Dave was our gracious guest today. You can shoot us an email at thewoodscast1776@gmail.com. Fuck Alex Jones and all his shtick. We're going to take it as long as we can. You can hit us up on Facebook at Woodscast1776, and then on Twitter it's Woodscast on Twitter. We are on right now. You should be able to find this podcast anywhere you could get your podcasts: Stitcher, SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. We throw a video up on YouTube. We don't record video, Dave. Don't worry about it. I just throw a picture up.
You know what? You can throw a picture up, but just put up George Clooney instead.
You know what? We could actually do that because Jay was kind of like Jay from the when we did the Purple Report. He really didn't want to record.
I'm looking
video.
for work right now, buddy.
Well, also, I don't want to incriminate Shay.
Do whatever you do. I don't give a shit. Nobody's gonna listen. Except for like the 64 people. And by the way, you 64 people, thank you so much. These boys are outrageous, and I hate both of them, and I'm planning their demise. So have a good night.
Well, that took a weird turn. All right, so Shay, say goodbye to the nice people.
Toodles.
Just a rubber band.